What is up, guys? It is Cody here, and this is day one of our marketing vlog. Uh, some cool things have been happening in my life. I've got some interesting customers I've been working with, and I really just wanted to set aside some time to kind of document and to discuss some of the things I'm learning. Some of the coolest people I've met in this journey of marketing and advertising, the consultancies and different things like that have been through competitors. And I was looking earlier um, about last week, and I was looking through the financials because you need to do that if you're an advertising agency owner. Is I know so many people that don't put in the time that it takes to do that, but I was looking through some of the industries that we'd be working with, and over 40% of our business has actually been with other marketers, whether it's creating them a website for a client or if it's a marketing strategy. There's been so much work that we've done for other marketers that I wanted to actually put together a vlog and just discuss how we're doing certain things, how we think we can improve on certain things. Actually, hear your guys' input too. Um, and so I have a funny idea for this. Gary Vee actually put out his content plan, and I loved it. So for those of you who haven't seen it, I'll put a link somewhere, description, video comments, wherever you'll find it. Um, his content plan is basically having a large pillar content that is a long form video, a keynote speech, anything like that. And he breaks out and makes micro content based off of what would resonate best with his audience, and also, what points he's trying to bring across through his marketing efforts. And so people love hustle that follow Gary Vee. It's something he loves talking about, emotional intelligence. And whenever they find his team, his production team, whenever they find something that they think would really resonate with that hustle or that EQ, which he calls, they break that out, make a quick little clip, and it goes crazy. Um, and I thought there's a plan to do that for everybody. There really is. And he put out another video that I liked called "How to Start." I'll link that as well. The how to start and the content plan, I really feel that the people that are in this industry that are serious about marketing themselves and actually gaining a following and actually rising the tide of all marketers. Because here's really the state of things when you look at it seriously. There is a surge of internet marketers out there. People that have watched a Ty Lopez video, uh, Neil Patel, everybody, these gurus that have massive amounts of knowledge and intellect have found that it's actually more profitable to target marketers than it is target businesses, because a business owner doesn't want to learn how to do things most often. They're wanting to use a service. They're wanting to succeed on the short term. They don't want to learn how to do things. I'm a big proponent of learning. Actually, you may have thought I was going to say that I don't want to learn certain things, but whatever I can learn. I work on cars. I just do it all. I paint my own house. That's just how I want to live. I want to know how to do something because I feel like it rises my tide, my family's tide, and lets me be in a position to really win no matter where I end up in life. So the content plan that I'm going forward will be doing is having a vlog like this, having a marketing talk blog, um, and then breaking out micro content from that where we can really hone in on what needs to be talked about. Because the motivation behind this is there are so many people out there that are stealing good marketers' jobs. Now, um, I've run across this situation a couple times, and I've only recently figured out the right way to solve it. One was when I go into a customer and when I go into a customer's office or pitch it over the phone or whatever, there's always kind of an apprehension of how the relationship's going to work. especially once we find out that the best for them isn't a Facebook ad package. It isn't a SEO package. It isn't a social media content package. It isn't a new website. Even though they might want all those things and they might need all those things, but it's not the best for the customer. And so I've only recently been able to fix this by offering a consultant package where I actually come into their office a set number of hours and either work with their team or hire people or fire people, depending on what's really needed. And I am so surprised how receptive customers have been to that approach as opposed to just giving them a package and walking away. Um, so yeah, you do have to make your prices to where you cannot be bogged down. It does take a little more time to work on those clients, but it actually is vastly more of what they need than opposed to a quick one-time fix. And so that budget looks a lot more attractive instead of saying, hey, this is your X amount of money you're going to be spending versus, hey, look, I'm going to be working for you for a set amount of hours in this work week. Um, and so you're able to set your own hours, of course, you're able to set your own hourly rate, and whatever the market will agree, whatever your skill level will attain you is your limit. And I like that sales model so much better than just going to countless people and saying, hey, can I do this service for you? Can I do this service? Do you need a website? Because they shut you down. And when you show them that you're willing to work, you're willing to roll up your sleeves and work for them, the the change is so real, and you kind of build the needs that they have. So I have done probably, I've counted, and the estimation is right around 65. I've done 65, 70-ish interviews for different companies. I've brought on salespeople, accountants, uh, marketers in some cases, graphic designers, whatever that company is really needing. And I basically, I fill the role that I have taken in their office. I've done it, several times by now, and I enjoy that. That's what I love doing. And I'm able to dabble in different industries without having to be that company's one sole source of sales and income, which is a lot more comfortable. So they're willing to pay for that security to know that you will be replacing yourself by the time you leave. I'm just, I'm kind of rambling here, but that's really what I've enjoyed in the last couple, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, 4 to 5, 6 months ish. So that's something that I do right now. Now, I want to get into kind of how we do a marketing plan for a new customer. I've got several open accounts that I should be working on, which I am working on. I'm working on with you. So I won't be saying any names. I might mention some industries. Um, but I have a set pattern of things that I go through in my mind whenever we get a new client or I'm quoting a new client. So the first thing is a kind of a weird term that I just recently adopted. It's, are they a Web 1.0 customer or a 2.0 customer? Uh, and customers kind of arbitrary for our needs, really. So are they Web 1.0 or Web 2.0? Web 1.0 is how the internet started. In the beginning, in the beginning, there were no social networking sites. All right. So the Web 1.0 method means simply you post information, somebody finds information, and you meet in the middle somewhere. The 2.0 method is how your end goal is to actually create customers or users of your app, your website, content stream, whatever you want to call it, that produce the content that helps your business succeed. A great example is YouTube. And you might think, how many other YouTubes are there going to be coming? But a current potential customer that I'm working on, they have a kind of a little paragraph in their RFQ that says we want to bring people together in our industry so that they may connect and be able to show the events and to um, not market themselves because it's a nonprofit, but connect people that need certain things. And so if anybody has ever created a social networking site, just kind of nod your head, raise your hand, because that is a huge undertaking, right? And so maybe people don't understand why it's so huge. They think that people will just sign up since it's in their industry. They will um, post content because they want to get their name out there. People won't. And you need a certain amount of users to reach that critical mass of new users coming in. Those users see enough content to actually interact with long enough that they will become a user, a valid user that's posting content, but also the the original people that signed up, those users have become inactive. You would need the new users to create content that would actually um, re-engage the old users. And so that critical mass can vary depending on how big or small your organization may be. If it's a mandated thing inside of a company, you're looking to make an intranet. I've got a fly I'm going to kill. Then you can kind of you can massage that number a little bit, that critical mass number, and make it to where it's more manageable. And so I got off track a little bit, but are they Web 1.0 or a 2.0? And that sounds like all of the cases would be 1.0 or 2.0. But how do they intend on getting business? Is it a 2.0 strategy? Is it a 1.0 strategy? If you're a carpet cleaner, chances are you're not going to need other people to create content about your business for you to succeed. Somebody has either two reasons to contact the carpet cleaner. One, the carpets are dirty, or two, they've had an event that makes the carpets dirty. But the grand scheme of things is there's an issue that needs to be resolved. Your company is there to resolve the issue. So is a social media marketer a 1.0 or a 2.0? That can be solved two different ways. Will people go and find the services they provide? Yes. Will they trust that marketer without reviews? Will they trust that marketer without seeing a great deal of trust factors? No, they just won't. There's no reason for somebody to trust some guy that's out in his basement making videos over somebody that has thousands of reviews and thousands of customers that promote them. So, how can we make a content plan based off of these two items? So if they're 1.0, a carpet cleaner, our service industries, our plumbers, our welders, our siding companies, how can we make a marketing plan for them? Well, they need content on their websites and on their channels of business that people can find, that people can search for, and that people can consume until they're ready that or until they have the need. So Windows sales is a very expensive industry to market. You 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 try to answer every single question that somebody could have. All of their boxes have to be checked. You check those boxes off, and then you're left with a customer that has no reason to disregard your service. They have no reason to say no. Then when they call you, when you call them, when you drop by their house, when you do this, when you do that, they're already open to it and they say yes. That's one way of doing a Web 1.0 customer. How would you do a 2.0? Well, your marketing efforts have to be done in a way that people consume video content, consume some type of content, and then want to respond. Because the way a marketer is going to gain business effectively long term is by creating customers of theirs or users or an audience that promotes them. That's the only way. How many times, marketers, have you been in Facebook groups and you see somebody's asking for who's a med spa expert? I saw it this morning. Who's a real estate guy? Who is this? Who is that? And you see people referring other people constantly. Jim Bob is the best. Francesca Ballesteros is the best. They just put these names. Nobody even knows who these names are. They just go and they ask them, hey, will you do my marketing? And of course the person's going to say yes. They have no idea. They've never read anything about them before. That is the way to win. Okay? How do you do that? Well, how many people have you helped today? How many pieces of content have been touched a day? The only way people are going to find you and see you is by promoting yourself. Of course, marketers love doing that, but you have to do it in a way that actually gives value. You're not going to have millions of customers. You will have millions of engaged audience members. And so we have to prioritize our content to be 2.0 content, not 1.0. Social media marketers do not get business by SEO. Prove me wrong. Somebody can find your website. Somebody can interact with your chatbot. Somebody can search for you and do all these great things in your website and still leave. You never generated, you never captured a name, you never captured a phone number, you never captured anything about that lead. It's gone forever. They could drop back by, they could buy a package, but you don't create a long-term sustainable audience from SEO. Yes, do it. Yes, be good at it. Yes, do it. Okay? Don't think I'm telling you not to do it. But it's not how you're going to make your money. Trust me. I spent a long, long time and I am very good at it. I'm very good at SEO. But when I set up the same type of SEO that I've done for my website, that I've done for a carpet cleaner or a window product sales place or anything like that, the results explode. Okay? Look at any kind of service-based business. Try a rank and rent strategy. Create a computer repair. Create a business that you can just get leads from. The SEO will explode with results, and you'll understand what I'm saying about SEO does not function as a sustainable customer acquisition source for your SMMA. SMMA? I always hate that acronym. Anyway, so on the next step of how you create a marketing plan for a potential customer or for a new customer is what channels of business do they have? Where are they coming in, and where are they getting their business from? The channels of business could be inbound phone, they could be on their website, it could be through direct mail, it could be through a lot of different things. You need to analyze where they're getting their customers from. You should also analyze where you're getting your customers from. If you're not getting any customers yet, never fear. Analyze where people are finding your business. Analyze how people are discovering you. Sometimes it's on the website. A lot of times it's through a word of mouth. And you'll never hear where this person has heard your name unless you ask them. I get word of mouth things all the time. Somebody said, I heard that you do marketing. What does that even mean? What do you do? What do you do? And so we have that conversation, and it always ends with somebody being interested. So, I mean, you have to analyze where that's coming from. And multiply, double down on what's working for them and limit what's not working for them. If they're getting tons of inbound calls, try to get them more inbound calls. If like, and I had this happen. I had this happen with a larger company, and when I say larger, very large. They were getting like 80% of their sales volume on the phone, but they wanted to get a more automated way of getting customers. So they reached out to me and we did some pay-per-click ads on Google for them. I found very quickly that the way that they were trying to get people to sign up online was horrendous. I mean, super long forms with um, file uploads that they had to take a picture of something and upload it through the form. It was things that somebody would get halfway through and realize they didn't have all the information they needed to finish, so they would drop off. It was an impossible task. So I said, okay, guys, we need to change the forms. And they said, no, guys, we really can't change them. That's everything we need. And in fact, we fill out the same form when somebody calls in. And so it just did not work for their marketing efforts because that form was not a possibility for people to sign up quickly, and they were just they were forced to call while they had the form pulled up because they couldn't finish it because they were either tired of doing it or they didn't have all the information they needed to do it, and it would not proceed without all the information. So I said, well, if that's the case, we're going to have to double down on phone calls. And they said, fine, just get us more calls. I exploded their calls using call only ads on Google Ads. Exploded. And for the first time ever, their salespeople were able to meet their goals. A incredible, uh, when I was talking to the, well, I should end there. Maybe it wasn't even the first time. Um, anyway, we went on the sales call route, and it went great. And then when we started the next month of the acquisition, they said, hey, we weren't seeing anywhere what we hoped for on the digital marketing side. We weren't getting, anything, but our sales are up double on the call side. We think you may have done something wrong. And I said, pardon? We think you may have done something wrong because we're not getting any form fills. And those kind of things happen. You have to manage the expectations of your customers, obviously. So we handled that, and that's just one example. Uh, that was a channel of business that was the best for their business, but was not what they wanted to target. And you have to walk that tightrope with your customers. You have to walk that tightrope with yourself. Is how you want your business to work the best way it should work. You know, I've tried this, and being an outside set of eyes and not being afraid of saying things that I think is right has been a breath of fresh air to myself and a lot of other marketers and a lot of other business owners. I say, that's what you want, but is that what's best for your business? And they have to listen. They paid me money to give them advice, so they have to listen. And you need to listen to yourself when you say these things. You need to ask those questions of yourself. Yeah, you may want people to just click on your website and buy a house, but is that reality? You may want people to fill out a 10-page form so that you don't have to talk to them as much, but is that reality? Something that could be done would be hiring somebody, just hire somebody to do the things that you want and need done. It's no shame in it. And then we can actually build your business in a way that is effective. So that's something on the channels of business. Now, on to the next question I always ask. And I've got these on the left side of my screen. They're very simple. Up to this point, we've talked about Web 1.0, we've talked about Web 2.0, we've talked about channels of business. We also talked about Gary Vee's content plan. Now we're getting into the sales versus marketing uh, question. Do a great deal of your customers come from outbound sales, or do they come from people calling in? Is it an inbound plan currently? Is it an outbound plan currently? Answer that question to yourself. Let's actually have this conversation. Have you done more of your calls then you get in. Are you an inbound house or are you an outbound house? It's a simple question. Marketing efforts are the hardest to start when you are entirely used to all of your customers coming from outbound. If you are able to get customers inbound, it's also very hard to create and hand over an outbound strategy for somebody that's always waited for the phone to ring, because how somebody sells and how a business works shapes the culture drastically. So when I'm talking to a customer and I see that they are very used to the phone ringing and all of a sudden the phone has stopped ringing, it can be tempting to say, okay, you guys need to start calling outbound. It's very tempting to say that, and sometimes it's the correct path. But there can be also a route to get back to where the phones start to ring. You have to understand the situation and capitalize on what needs to be done. So we'll look at that if that's the case. But a lot of times somebody is used to the phone ringing, but they want their salespeople to go outbound. Or somebody's used to um, all their people calling, but they want people to start calling them. And so that is honestly where a lot of businesses are when they call me. Um, and so I try to walk that tightrope to say, okay, so something's been working for you for however many years you've been in business, and now you want to change it and and do something that you have no experience doing. And they say, well, yeah, that's why we called you. So I try to first make sure that the current sales or marketing avenue is sustainable. If it is sustainable, then I know we have time to build the other side of it. So um, when you have no data walking into a company and they say we want to start doing more inbound, but we're always used to doing outbound, you have no data to push into your, you have nothing. You're starting from scratch. That way is so important to ask your audience. Call up your people. Call them, text them, find out, hey, what do you want to see from us? What would you be interested in seeing? Just ask them, why do you do business with us? Can you do reviews? What can we do to make your life easier? And do what they've asked, and you'll be so surprised of how positive that experience will be. Say they'll really answer the phone and say, "Wow, well, I never thought about it, but hey, if you just did this and this, I mean, I'd be able to order online from you. Or if you just did this and this, if we had a way to track this and knew how we can do that, it would be so easy." The flip side of that is also true. If you are totally used to being all inbound, and then you want to try to do some outbound. So what I have found a lot is when somebody is they're just they pick up the phone and they take the order almost, but they want to maximize that and they want to flip sides of that. They've tried um, they've tried inbound things in an outbound way. Now, if that doesn't make sense, sending out a postcard, sending out mailings, sending out email blast seems like it's an outreach thing. But most of the time, you're talking to people that like calling you. You're reaching out to them with the expectation of them calling you. That's still inbound. That's a marketing effort to get more inbound. So without picking up the phone and dialing their number and saying, hey, what can I help you with? Do you have any immediate needs? Um, what's the situation for you guys? If you're not in a recurring business model, or um, your model is to where that you must wait for them to finish with the current product, you have nothing to do with your current customers. You have to go after new customers. So that's the tightrope that you must walk. What is your business model? Is it a sales or marketing model? And if you consider those two things the same, I must break them apart from you. Sales is marketing is getting that person ready and up to the cash register with their product. Sales is taking the order. If you don't agree with me, talk about it in the comments. And the last question I ask when we're creating a new um, business plan, a new marketing plan, a new sales plan, is what are your goals? And what's your budget? Does your budget match your goals? Do your goals match your budget? And that sounds like it's the same thing, but it's not. Do your goals match your budget? To me means, one, are you able to spend enough to accomplish those goals? But the flip side, do those goals pay for your budget? A lot of times the business owner wants to put the onus on the marketer to produce ROI, but that's not always the case. If somebody doesn't do the research to find out what is the average lifetime value of your customer, what is the marketing profit, what is the profit that you'll be making on these efforts, uh, a marketer that doesn't have the business experience, they might have the marketing experience. Somebody who doesn't have the business knowledge will not be able to accommodate you in your ROI goals. And so you must seek somebody with the business experience that can actually look into your business and verify the lifetime value of your customer and your cost of acquisition per customer. Without those informations, no marketer can produce a profitable campaign. So, like in car sales, when somebody asks you, what's your budget? Partly they're looking for how much you're willing to spend. But the other part is that they're trying to find out which car should they show you. Somebody with a budget of 100,000 doesn't want to see the Ford Fiesta. Somebody that has a 10,000 budget doesn't want to see the Lambos. They might look at them just to say they did, but they will not be buying one. And if you try to sell it to them, they won't know what to do. They'll just leave. So if a marketer asks your budget, take it with a grain of salt, because they are not asking you for how much are you willing to spend. And the answer I've always gotten, the first answer that I've always gotten is as little as possible. As little as possible. We want it to be cheap. Well, if your conversion rates aren't good enough on the phone or wherever, say if I bring you a bunch of people to your cash register and those people start to walk away because your sales guy is a jerk, if that conversion rate there isn't right, if it isn't possible, there's no amount of money you can spend with me to make that a profitable arrangement. None. So we have to look at the plan. Are you willing to open the doors to your business and let us see everything? The flaws, the the glistening, beautiful diamonds that you have, the precious things. If you're willing to let us see everything, a good marketer can produce great results. If you're not, a great marketer cannot produce any results. That's just the nature of the animal that we reside in business. Um, so what are your goals? If your goals are to amplify your current marketing efforts, if your goals are just to make your website pop more, it's harder to put a budget on that. It's easier to say you want it for free. But if you're wanting an actionable goal, something that produces money, that produces a return, that's something we can work with. That's something that we can put a monetary value to, and that's something that we can work with. Okay, Enough business talk. Enough business talk, guys. Something that I'm going to call Cody's ramble. This is killing me. Why are marketers without the talent able to get your business? I had this situation happen with a client. Well, I was actually in the office on a the consultant program I told you about. I was actually in the office, and all these people that had just met with a different marketer for a separate arrangement that I wasn't. It wasn't something I needed to be in on, so I wasn't, and almost a separate business. So they tell me how frustrated they were after the meeting and how the guy just talked and talked and made up these fake claims and uh, was all around a kind of a jerk to work with. And they were actually considering going with him because they thought, he's affordable. Uh, if he can do what he says, it might be worth it. But gosh, we don't want ever want to see him again. We just want him to do what he says he's going to do and never talk to us. And I said, guys, I'm sorry. Rein that in a little bit. If nobody wants to deal with the guy, why give him any money? And they just kind of nodded. It didn't deter them, but I said, what are some of the claims that he's making? And I said, one, it's possible to do that, but I don't feel very confident that he can do it. And I said, do you guys feel confident? And they said, no. And it hit me that so many marketers are out there without the talent that are pushing people into doing business with them. That's the only way I can make that track in my mind because he's very pushy. And so long story short, he came in for the second meeting, which we had initially thought that the other business canceled. So they canceled the meeting with the guy. When he came back in for that meeting that was canceled, they just said, Cody, can you talk to him? I said, sure. I said, do you want to do business with him? He said, no. And so I said, friend, I'm sorry. They thought that they emailed you and canceled the meeting. Immediately, the guy picks up his phone and he starts looking and he's looking, trying to find this meeting, the cancellation. And he says, well, I'd just really like to speak with them. Who are you? And he's still looking at his phone. And I said, look at me. The answer is no. It's just not going to work. You're going to have to leave. But have a great day. And he did. And he left. And I feel sorry for the guy. But without that knowledge that I have, without the knowledge and the advice that I would give him, I was afraid that he would gain their business. And you not only lose the money, but it's such a frustration to deal with a marketer that is just a pain to deal with. It's so terrible. So that's Cody's rant. And what my plan is to raise the good marketers up, because you need to be making content. You need to be documenting what you're doing. You need to be gaining a sense of power and not thinking that the world is in a position that can never be attained. The business is out there. And friends, you and I together, I think we can do it. If you have any questions, post them down in the comments below. I will be reaching out to everybody that said anything. If you like this, if you like what you're seeing, give it a thumbs up. Give us a like. Give us a share. Hey, I'll see you next time. Take care and God bless.